Hi, it's Suzanne again, and in this video I'm going to take you through a sequence of postural stacking for active sitting ergonomics. Active sitting ergonomics essentially means when you're sitting in a seat that has no backrest. Passive sitting ergonomics is when you're sitting with your back supported in a chair that has its own set of recommendations and rules. But for this is if you're sitting in a chair or away from the back of the chair, if you're working at a computer on a piano, and it helps to realign things in your spine so that you minimize progressive stress if you're spending a lot of time there. Oftentimes you'll find different postural habits. Some people like to kind of sit slumped here, some people like to sit overly accentuated, and this is designed to find that happy medium plumb line orientation of your spine in space to minimize the strain and stress of the muscles around it. So the first step is to find the right seat height. The right seat height is such that your hip is slightly above your knees. If your hips are too low, the seat chair is too short, it will naturally push you into a slumped position and create strain in your pelvis and lower back. That's often relevant for people who maybe are sitting in low seats or have long legs. If the seat is too high, it's kind of pulling you, dragging you forward, and this is too far at the other end of the spectrum, and this may be relevant for someone who's in a tall chair or with short legs like myself, where it may be difficult for the feet to find the ground. So somewhere in the middle, I'm going to estimate about there, should be such that you can relatively rock and roll your pelvis forward and back with relative ease. Now, if your chair is not adjustable, you can adjust the height of it if you place folded blankets or some pillows or cushions so that you can adjust the height of it. The second step is that the distance of you from the edge of the chair should be such that your groin should be about 2 to 3 inches from the front edge of the chair. If you're too far forward, you don't have enough support under your pelvis and thighs, and if you're too far back, you will limit how much you're able to kind of sit perched up on the floor, the seat of your pelvis. So once you kind of find the seat height and the distance of your groin from the front of the chair, you can start with a couple pelvic tilts. So the sit bones on the bottom of the pelvis, you can even sit on them so you can feel them under your fingers, are such that when you roll back, I'm feeling my tailbone more in touch with the chair, and my sit bones, those two bony knobs in the bottom of my pelvis, is gliding forward in space. And right now, they're under my index fingers. And then if I tilt forward, now my pubic bone in the front is pushing down, my tailbone is way off the chair, and I can feel a sit bone under maybe my ring fingers. Somewhere in the middle is the neutral pelvis position. Much like if I grab a block, if you're rocking a block on a chair, if this is the front of the body, this is the back of the body, tilting forward is an arched spine, anterior tilted pelvis, tilting back is more of a slumped posture, resting on your sit bone. You want to use these pelvic tilts to establish where's the neutral position so it can rest like a nice, stable, level foundation before you build a house on it. So maybe 3 pelvic rocks, maybe 5 pelvic rocks helps to establish the neutral. And you know you're there because the pressure under the seat of your pants and the backs of the tops of your thighs are in contact with the seat of the chair. If you're too tilted back, I don't really feel the backs of my thighs at the top in contact. If I'm too far forward, I'm feeling too much of the backs of my thighs and not the seat of my pants. So right in the middle is your pelvic neutral position. Now we have the foundation laid nice and flat to build the first floor of the house, which is going to be the rib cage. Now the rib cage is going to turn into a bell. Hoist the bell off your pelvis to create a long waist, and ring the bell forward and back a couple times so that the bottom edge of the bell, when you tip down in front, it rises in the back. When you tip up in the front, it drops down in the back. And somewhere in the middle, both the front and back sides of the bell are neutral and equally tall to each other. Once you do your last repetition. Again, it could be 3, it could be 5. The bell turns into a cake, and you will compress the bell or press the cake, it'll end up squishing in your fingers, onto the cake stand. And the cake stand is now my pelvis. So I'm kind of swapping out different imaginary images. When you place the bell back on the cake, I'm giving a little bit of downward pressure through my pelvis to feel it through the seat of my pants into the chair. From here, it is so important to relax the belly and relax the buttocks and tailbone. There should be no tensing or gripping or holding to hold the right posture. Then a couple shoulder circles so that they can spread evenly on the front and back of your chest. And then chin drops down to rest on an imaginary shelf in front of you. And that is your active stacked posture. After about half an hour of working, you can repeat this again. Naturally, this may take a few minutes, a little bit longer to get the whole sequence, but as you get good with it, this can take as little as 10 seconds, 5 seconds to make the subtle adjustments to get you back on plumb line. This is really effective to help realign your posture in such a way that is easeful and is not overusing muscle tension patterns to hold the correct posture, as well as coax us out of postural habits. We all have them and how we tend to sink into our posture, thereby enabling you to sit for greater lengths of time with less discomfort. I hope you enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for next time.